This is the Hallmarkies podcast, and we are so excited today. We are here for our first real full weekend of multiple movies, coverage of Countdown to Christmas and Miracles of Christmas on Hallmark Channel. This is very exciting. We're going to be talking about three new films that came out this weekend. I am Rachel, and Amber's here.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, and we're very excited for our guest co-host this week. We've had her once before on the podcast, and it is Alysa from Best Forever's podcast.
Hello, I am not as festive. Hi.
You're wearing red.
Yeah, I'm kicking it with the red maroon color, so Merry Christmas in November.
And if you've been following the podcast for a while, you will remember Alysa's first appearance talking about the great Hallmark classic, The 7-Year Hitch, which was really fun. And but just in case people haven't listened to that, which you should, and I'll have a link in the description that you can listen to it. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your podcast does?
Yes, hi, I'm Alysa. I host Best Forever's, a podcast for kindred spirits. It's a podcast that focuses on celebrating friendships and working through issues that friends might experience in those really important relationships. So I am coming from a background of communication. I am a professor at Central Michigan University, and I teach and study and podcast about relationships. So I'm always excited to be invited to come talk about relationships with anyone, but especially the two of you.
You flatterer.
I try. And if they might not remember from my first visit, I am actually, and we've talked about this, a lifetime TV junkie who watches Hallmark with my mom and my friend Sarah. So some of the stuff I'm new to it, but I can't wait to talk about these because there's lots of relationships, and you might turn me into a Hallmarkie yet.
Yes, well, that's the goal.
I mean, I already am, nonetheless, right?
Like right now, you're like a Hallmarkie with a Y, but soon we'll get you into an IE.
I like it.
Yes.
It's like gaining your stripes.
But I really did feel like this was just such a great turn of events that I happened to schedule you this weekend for this weekend's movies, because not every Hallmark movie kind of deals with friendships and sibling relationships and some of the other things that multiple of these movies does. And so I was just like, yes, this is perfect. It was very exciting.
I definitely thought that in several times when I was watching, I was like, there's so many relationships going on in these movies, and so I was really excited as well. So
the podcasting gods smiled down upon us. It was kind of the first full weekend even though we had the Pemberley Manor movie, which if you haven't listened to that podcast with Marissa Sarfini, it was really fun. We had a good time. The first from this weekend is Christmas Joy. And this is written by Tracy Ann Dreen, a pretty great writer, and I really enjoyed talking with her. And if you didn't catch it, my interview with her posted yesterday, and she's just so funny and so great. She was behind this, and I think you can kind of see some of her comedic timing in this one. And so this starred Danielle Panabaker, who was in Recipe for Love, which everyone knows, one of my favorites, super dishy, really good, and and then Matt Long, who had not been in a Hallmark movie before, so this was my first experience with him, and so that was interesting. And what were your overall thoughts of this one, Amber?
I've enjoyed it a lot. Initially, I was like super mad at this movie, but it has nothing to do with itself. It has to do with the fact that my cable was like broken, and it just stuck on Danielle Panabaker's face for like 20 minutes. So it was not ideal viewing conditions, so I had to wait and watch it later. But once I finally got my DVR working, I really liked it.
Yeah, it was really fun. What did you think, Alysa?
Well,
Overall.
I was like, first off, what's a cookie crawl?
Oh, we can definitely talk about that.
I did not know what a cookie crawl. There was so much Christmas happening up in this movie, which I mean makes sense for what we're talking about. But I was like, this is Christmas I've never even heard of. Like, I have never heard of a cookie crawl. And once I got beyond that, I was like, what is this? Like, I was like the lady, Weatherton, who was like, what's a cookie crawl? And then she was on board with it, and so was I. I really enjoyed this movie, and I was really not in a good mood when I watched it, and I came out going, I'm ready to start Christmas, and my house has Halloween stuff up. I got witch stuff everywhere, and I can't wait for Christmas now.
Yeah, I watched this with my mom, and we just had such a good time, and we were smiling and laughing, and it's very silly. This movie, but I'm fine with that. I enjoyed it.
It's actually so funny that the cookie crawl and the gingerbread contest and all the other things didn't faze me at all. And Alysa is like,
what's a cookie crawl?
Yeah, Alysa was like, what is this? And I'm like, well, obviously it's the cookie crawl.
No, I mean, I can be on board with a gingerbread house contest. Like, that makes lots of sense, but I've never been on a cookie crawl. And I was actually a little disappointed that we didn't get to see any of the other houses in the cookie crawl. I wanted to see the competition, which, what was the lady's theme? Chocolate chip, like she even tried. I wanted to see that place. What did that look like?
Yeah, we did miss out on some comedy gold on the chocolate chip themed house.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious, especially because I swear they were sitting in front of a plate of chocolate chip cookies, or chocolate oatmeal cookies, whatever. Right when they were saying that, I was dying laughing. And but yeah, I thought that. See, going into it, I thought that cookie crawl was somewhat similar to a cakewalk. Have you ever done a cakewalk?
Oh, yes, I did when I was younger. Yeah, those are fun at our elementary school.
Well, it's like the coolest thing ever because everyone who participates gets a cake. It's very exciting. But like a whole cake. That was like when you're a kid, you get a whole cake. That was very.
This is definitely something that I have zero experience with.
Oh, cakewalk? You never. It's pretty fun. Musical chairs. You walk around until till you land on the spot or whatever. That's the cake spot, and then you get the cake, and then Anyway, it's pretty exciting.
Well, I've never experienced that, but now that you describe that happens in To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Oh, nice. Right. Yeah, you're right. It does.
Can I say that in all of the cakewalks I participated in, my parents were probably like, we're not taking that whole cake home.
Also, why have I never been able to have a cakewalk in my life?
I know.
We gotta change that.
I mean, so that's what I thought. In fact, I even asked Tracy, I said, is it like a cakewalk? And I think that she thought I was mean. You know how some people say it's like a cakewalk. Like,
yeah, that's what I think.
It's like easy.
And I think she thought that. She was like, oh, no, it's not like a cakewalk at all. But now I'm thinking, now that I saw the movie, that she was literally saying it's not like a cakewalk at all. But
no, it seemed very hard.
I know.
It's a lot of work.
Plus, well, I mean, we're gonna. Plus, like, the aunt hadn't planned anything, and it's 6 days away. Like, what is going on?
Rachel, some of us like to live in the moment.
I also was like, is an ankle gonna keep Aunt away from her cookie crawl? I was like, that was the one thing where I was like, just elevate it, and she'd be up there making some dough at home.
I mean, and yeah, exactly. I agree. All right, well, let's kind of start talking a little bit about it. So, first of all, it's set in North Carolina, and I don't know, like, I grew up in Maryland, and they have quite a bit of snow in Maryland, so maybe in North Carolina, but they have snow, but I never thought that it had that much snow.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I was like, why?
I actually wrote that. I think I said, did they actually have that much snow in North Carolina? Because I feel like, so my brother lived in Durham, North Carolina, and he would always talk about after living in Michigan, where we get lots of snow, we have the lake effect of the Great Lakes around the state. So we get a lot of wind and cold and ice and other sciencey things that I don't know about or understand. And so we grew up in like this very winter place, and then he moved to North Carolina. He's like, no one knows what to do in snow because you get like half an inch and everyone freaks out. And I was
that
like,
is very true.
But maybe they lived in like the mountainous regions of North Carolina.
that's fair.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know how many mountains they have.
There's a part in the west side of the state that's up to 65,000 feet above sea level.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
6,500, 65,000. Where are we on the
But yeah, that is very true. In Maryland, they would sometimes preemptively cancel school.
Yeah.
Because of if there was a storm that was predicted. And people, like, it was really hard to me just living in Utah, because in Maryland, people would not travel in the snow at all. And they would get very anxious about it. And that was my mentality, and still kind of is, to be honest. And I remember my first job, it was snowing, and I literally called in here in Utah, first job. And I called in and I'm like, we're not driving, supposed to be driving in the snow, right? I just assumed that work was canceled. And they were like, no, you need to come to work.
That is hilarious, because people are like, students will be like, do you think we're getting a snow day tomorrow? And I'm like,
yeah. I could go on a big spiel of how I think snow days totally make sense, but I will spare you all. But
I think in the history of my entire life, we had 0 snow days.
Yeah.
And like, there was one day where they probably really should have given us a snow day, when it was like 3 feet of snow, but we had a Suburban, so we went to school. And like, kids who didn't have 4-wheel drive didn't make it.
I think at the very least, delays make sense. Give people a little more time so they're not rushed, so they're not driving on this dangerous snow, and they should have give an extra hour just to get there. It totally makes sense.
Rachel, you need to get with being a Utahn and become a little bit more industrious in your travel.
I just love how Amber hasn't experienced snow days or cakewalks.
Yeah, my life was a tragedy.
Snow days are like the best thing to ever exist. Like, you wait and you're sitting by the radio and you're like, come on, Frederick County Schools. And say it, and it's like, yes, because it's one thing to have like a scheduled day off, where you're planning on it, you're ready, you're prepared, but to have an unexpected days off, it's like the best thing to ever happen.
And
yeah,
it's
you know what we did?
Oh, what did you do?
We waded through snow.
It was like, she's driving from DC. That's like a 5-hour drive in her Mini Cooper in snow. Get out of here,
girl. And my favorite part of that was like when she was driving and they had the like they had like fast noise. Like, she was not just driving through the snow in her Mini Cooper, she was speeding through the snow in her Mini Cooper.
She's gotta get to that cookie crawl.
Italian job. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's so true.
Oh my gosh, the Italian, I almost called it the Italian drive, because Italian job, the driving in that is amazing.
It's so true. When
Maybe
they go down into the subway.
Theron's like body double for driving.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that's funny. Yeah. I didn't really like that. I was so proud of her, because covering Chesapeake Shores, it drove me crazy, because everybody on that show acted like a person moving from Maryland to Philadelphia was moving to Kuwait, when like people drive that distance all the time. It's not a big deal. Like, what is going on? Like, they had like goodbye parties with toast, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But anyway, so one thing I thought was fun in this movie is they had kind of 2 meet cutes with our leads, which was fun. They had the Twinkle Light Entanglement meet cute, which was adorable, and which I was a fan of. And then you have the classic Hallmark fender bender accident meet cute, which the women in Hallmark really need to work on their driving, because I've never met anybody, and I heard of anybody meeting through a traffic accident. But hey, in Hallmark, you think it was happening very frequently. And,
I mean, the only traffic accidents I've ever gotten into, to be fair, they were by myself and they were in the snow, but Yeah, I didn't meet my husband that way. I don't have a husband.
I was gonna say, is that why I'm single? As I haven't
Yeah, I don't know.
my car.
I need to actually run people down, and then I will find a husband.
Clearly, that's very true.
But I grew up in Michigan, so I know how to drive in snow.
So what did you think of Daniel Panabaker and Matt Long and their chemistry in this? What do you think, Amber?
It was amazing, and I loved them, and Matt Long is the best, and I've loved him since he was in Jack and Bobby, and I want him in more Hallmark movies.
Yeah, there you go. What do you think, Alysa?
I thought they had the best chemistry out of all the 3 movies that we watched this weekend, so we'll talk about more, but I was like, I believe it, and he is adorable.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Let me stay in North Carolina for these cooking crawls for this guy.
And even though it was totally irrational, later on we'll talk about it, but man, when he had that tux on, I was like, yes. Sign me up. It was really good.
Let me crooked crawl my way on over to you.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
He had appropriate transportation for the weather, though. Can we?
Yeah, see, this is what makes me think they live in the mountains.
True.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is, what was the name of the town? I forgot to write it down.
Crystal Falls.
Crystal
But
Falls.
I didn't really pay attention to the name until she was wearing this red sweatshirt that said Crystal Falls, but her hair was covering it, and all I saw was Ist Falls. And I was like, is she in Mystic Falls, which is a town from Vampire Diaries? And it was so funny to me. But no,
That's amazing.
Crystal Falls.
Yeah. So the aunt gets injured and she's coming to help, and I really liked just how serious everyone took the cookie crawl. Like even our guy Matt, I forget what his character name, but he was just like Ben, that's right, Ben. And he has like, I mean, he goes over this is going to be like 1 million cookies. He's like, thousands of lemon bars and brownies and cookies. And I'm like, oh, what is this? I mean, this puts Festival of Trees here in Salt Lake to shame. What is going on? Because I worked on the cookie committee. Actually, there's this thing called Festival of Trees here in Utah. We might be doing a field trip, and it's really good. It's for primary children's and hospital. Yeah, primary children's hospital. And so they have this whole bake sale portion. And so I was on the committee one year for the bake sale, and I don't think that we made as many for that.
Well, that's because you don't that's not where you make your money at the Festival of Trees.
Fair.
You make your money at the Festival of Trees by selling and auctioning off trees.
Fair, but there's still thousands of people who come to the Festival of Trees.
If I know one thing about Utah people, it's that they are very tight-walleted when it comes to buying things they can make themselves.
Well, I just kept thinking, how many people live in Crystal Falls? Does everyone get 3 dozen cookies when they go to this cookie crawl? Like,
I would. I feel like Crystal Falls
their big
is my town.
purses. They got their big purses as they sell their cookies.
Like the Festival of Trees is at this giant convention hall, and this is at like people's houses. Like, how could they possibly?
That house was pretty sweet.
And her baking is just for one house. It's not even for the whole festival. Like, what? So funny.
That house, though, I wanted to go, what did this aunt do? Like, she made some mad money.
She's a cookie matron. That's all she needs to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Plus, property values are, it's less expensive in the mountains. It's more. That's a lie.
But, Alysa, what cookie would you want most at the cookie crawl?
Snickerdoodles.
I'm on board. So, yeah, what would I pick? Probably, I do love. I love like peanut butter cookies with the Hershey Kisses on top, because I love peanut butter and chocolate. Mm-hmm. And also, I really like. I really like shortbread. My mom makes these eggnog cookies that I love, and those are probably my 2 favorite. What are you, Amber?
I mean, all I really want right now, and it's maybe not the way I feel about things all the time, but all I really want are scotcheroos.
What's that?
What's that? It's like a Rice Krispie treat made with peanut butter with chocolate on top.
Oh, that sounds delicious. What is it called again?
A scotcheroo. I think it's actually butterscotch, not peanut butter, but it presents in a similar manner.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah,
you make one, and then you'll eat it, and then you'll go, well, that was a mistake because I'm never going to want to eat anything else.
Just sugar high.
her job in this movie, runs focus groups. Is that right? She's like a market researcher or something?
Yes, I actually
don't care what their job. She's an intuitive market researcher.
Okay.
I actually was very excited to see her job because it's somewhat of what I teach, like doing research. Like I was like, oh, girls doing focus groups. I was like, all right, but yeah, I would say market research.
Yeah, and then there's this woman that owns this department store, which is the big account for this company she works for, the Weathertons, and she lives in the town next door. In Charlottetown, I think is what it was called. Anyway, and so that becomes kind of a plot element later on. And you have the Ben character who, what did he do again?
He was a hospital administrator.
Oh, that's right.
Never saw him do a lick of work. He did not work.
He was just kind of hanging around the hospital.
Well, here's the thing. How much work is there in this little small hospital?
Yeah.
When I think the only patient is old woman with a broken ankle.
But Hallmark loves having these men with lots of jobs. That's very sexy for Hallmark for some reason.
Well, here's the thing about that, Rachel. They all live in these small towns with very few people where people do have to do more than one job.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm so good at being fair.
So she comes to him and says, first he offers to work with her, and then she's like, no, I can do it all by myself. And then she comes to him later and says, I want to have a cookie crawl consultation. And he's like very offended by this, like the fact that she would offer to pay. And I guess he had this ex-wife, so he's divorced, which is pretty rare in Hallmark. Usually it's a widower. They don't like to, go with divorce. But he had this ex-wife who like left him to go and be in the city.
Yes,
like a city girl. And there's one spot where Susan Hogan says, it was his mom, you don't want it to be like you know who. And
Voldemort?
Yeah, me and Casey at the same time were like, did they just compare city girls to Voldemort? And I thought that was a pretty funny joke. What can I say?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's very nervous about like career women and city jobs and whatever because of this ex that he had. Also this gingerbread tournament, and he asks her to be a judge because I guess our aunt was going to be a judge, and so he wants to enter with his mom. And so that's kind of and she gives her this binder of the rules of the gingerbread.
It's thicker than my dissertation.
Probably is a dissertation.
A degree in gingerbread competitions.
We had the godmother of gingerbread last year in the Alysa Chabert movie.
Oh my gosh, I do want to say something about that. I thought it was hilarious, and I don't know if it was meant to be like throwing shade at that Christmas movie with Alysa Chabert, but I love that they gave second place to the gingerbread carousel, and that's what Alysa Chabert won with in hers.
Last year. Yeah. Did you think the right gingerbread entry won?
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
I do. I mean, frankly, all of them looked not like crazy amazing, but they looked good enough.
Mm-hmm. What did you think, Alysa?
Well, I have to say that the carousel was a little tiny, and I was like, those people created like the Carolina Panthers' entire football stadium. And I was like, and then it got me by carousel, and I was like, okay, we don't got no sports fans here.
Well, here's why as I read the binder. So Ferris line, while large and impressive, it wasn't necessarily a structurally difficult thing to build because it wasn't really that high. It didn't require a lot of skill, and most of it was just done frosting work. Like, it wasn't that impressive if you took the frosting off. Yeah. The carousel was impressive. You know, it was a difficult structure to build, but it wasn't large scale, so it wasn't as impressive.
Yeah.
And as you know, part of the problem with gingerbread is keeping your pieces from breaking.
Yeah.
So really, the Santa's Workshop was the most impressive because it was the largest scale, it had the intricacy, and it also had impressive frosting work. Boom!
Did you write your dissertation on gingerbread house making?
Like, legitimately, if there was one thing I was meant to do, it was to judge silly contests like this.
This whole party up in DC and her work party, and she looked beautiful, I thought, in that green dress.
She looked great in that dress, but I was not feeling her hair. Sorry.
I thought the same thing. Her hair looked great the entire movie, and then I was like, whoa, girl, what happened? But she did have to do it in the car because she was running late from driving back from.
Yeah, but I didn't think it looked great.
No. An idea. A contest that you could probably win, or at least beat me in, is if we all made gingerbread whatevers for this Christmas, and then we bring them on here and show people and let people vote. I bet you would win.
You have no idea how into this idea I am.
We could get those kits from, because I'm not making the gingerbread from hand. That's impossible.
No,
we can get like the kits from Costco.
We're gonna go the Nielsen method, which is use graham crackers.
Okay.
Ooh.
I can do that. I'm on board. Okay.
I'm not doing a kit where we're all stuck to having like a 4-corner house. Get over that.
Well, all my ideas are done. I was hoping to have the kit. No,
we should do this. Okay, ideas. Let's think about this real quick. We will have an open submission period from like X date to Y date, and we will say, everyone send in your whatever, and we'll just have people judge on our website, and then whoever wins gets a prize.
So everyone will be sending in their graham cracker gingerbread houses, pictures.
Yes. And we're going to come up with a secret thing they have to put on there so that we know they didn't just take a picture of something else.
I was going to say, are you going to create a dissertation of rules?
Girl, you don't even know.
Give me twice the length.
We're going to have so many contests going by the end of Christmas. It's ridiculous. I'm in love with it. Best idea ever.
So he comes up there to this party, and he is looking so fine in that tux, and he's looking so fine in that tux, and he comes in, and I wasn't 100% sure if he was more sort of discombobulated by the fact that the waitstaff was wearing these same tux as him, or if he was like concerned about her in some way. He knew he was going to a company party that was a formal party, and somehow I didn't quite understand why he had such an extreme reaction, especially once he knew that she had clearly seen him. And he just storms out of there. He's unbuttoning the tie, the bow tie, the whole thing. I don't know. What did you think about that, Amber?
All right. So this is my interpretation of Ben's feelings. He was like, I'm doing this grand gesture. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to show up. I'm going to look awesome in my tuxedo like I'm James Bond. And he goes there and he's like, okay, whew, let's do this. And the guy's like, yo, waiter, we need more champagne, bro. And he's like, oh my gosh, I look like an idiot. I don't belong here. This is the worst. And then he sees her and she's like, ha, 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 I belong and I'm so fancy. Look at my curled hair. And then he was like, you know what? This was a bad move. I'm just going to look like an idiot who deserves to give people hors d'oeuvres. I'm out.
Well, one thing I was like, why is he so upset? I would be like, I don't work here, and go on. But it took me a minute to realize that when he finally reaches her, she is talking with her coworker friend about quitting her job. And she says, I'm a free woman, which I think to him sounds like she is out of Crystal Falls and out of all what she has to do back there. And so that I didn't realize at first. I was like, why is he so upset? Why he left? They got his car back so fast. It just was like
they hadn't even taken his car away. That's how quick he was. He was like in and out.
Yeah,
they were still waiting for the old other little valet guy to go pick it up.
Yeah.
So he could like read her lips because she was pretty far away. There's no way he could hear her.
I mean, I heard it.
She said, "I'm a free woman," pretty loudly.
Yeah, she's like, "I'm a free woman."
It doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter why he left. He left, and then he was like, "I'm so embarrassed," and she saw me looking like a waiter.
I'd have been like, "Garçon, I'm gonna need some champagne, and I'm gonna need some of those little meatball things with the cheese on top." I don't know, whatever they had there. And here's the thing, that party wasn't that like hype or anything like that. It was like a bunch of people just like there wasn't even that many people there. There were more people at the cookie crawl, let's be real.
Yeah.
So that's how we know Crystal Falls is more hyped than DC.
True.
So yeah, and he won't even answer her calls. She's calling, and I just loved it when Susan Hogan was like, "What are you doing? Call her back. Like, this is not okay." Like, I don't know. I just
well, didn't he? She only called him once, and he didn't answer, and then he was just like checking his phone for messages. Like, maybe she'll try again. Right?
He kept calling her, and that's right. No, that's right. She kept trying to call him, and he didn't.
I think she only called him once. Am I insane?
No.
Did I miss it?
Well,
no, it was multiple times.
The assumption is that she called several times, and he's like, "Well, I'm not picking up on the first call."
Well, that's why his mom was like, "This is not okay." She said, "Love makes us vulnerable. You've got to call her back." Like, yeah. So, that was good. I liked it, and I think that Susan Hogan was just like born to play a mother. This is just like always like I feel like in her high school play, she was cast as
She's 15 years old and playing moms.
Yeah. Okay, so then we find out, we get to the cookie crawl, and yeah, you already said it, but the line, chocolate chip, it's like she wasn't even trying. It was so funny. And and then Mrs. Weatherton comes to the cookie crawl, and she basically offers her a job in Charlotte, and so I guess that commute is manageable. And so it's very exciting. And then she sees Ben in the crowd, and it's pretty fun. I said in Twitter, I said, a job and a hot dude in one cookie crawl. This is Christmas magic here.
It is Christmas magic.
Yeah.
Also, the Joy to the World that they were playing is one of the best, if not the best version in the history of the universe.
Yeah.
And it got me so pumped for Christmas.
I also was like, nice touch, because her name is Joy. I was like, boom, this is it. This is all coming together.
They splurged for that. Like, they normally have just like these weird cover versions of songs, but they got the real deal. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, they paid out the big royalty fees, licensing fees. What do they do, fees?
Whatever. Yeah.
They paid it.
Yeah, they did.
I do want to say though, and we haven't talked about the time that she was like, "Okay, kiss me," and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to." Nah, I'm not.
Yeah, that's true. And we did
talk about that one.
Yeah. It was a pretty brutal near kiss.
Yeah, it really was. I was like, is she gonna 10 things I hate about you at him? She didn't. She was just like, it was weird, I guess.
Also, the fact that all of that dough spoiled from the lid of the freezer popping out. This is supposedly in the dead of winter where there's ice outside.
Snow. It should be frozen. It's fine. It's in a garage. It's not even it's fine. Yeah. Also, what freezer pops open that big? Like, if a freezer doesn't stay closed, it's just like the seal breaks a little bit, and it's like, and then that's all the warning you get, and then all your meat's spoiled. This was like, my favorite. I rewound when I was watching it the first time, and I saw, and it popped open the first time, and he's like, "Oh, it's a tricky one," and I was just laughing so hard, imagining the PA that was just down away from camera, ready to flip it open.
Yeah. That's right.
How many takes did it take?
So, how many crowns would you give this film, Amber?
I'm giving this 4 crowns.
Nice.
What? That's a good amount.
Cool. Alysa, what would you give it?
I loved it. I'm giving it 4.5.
Whoa. Look at you.
Alysa
The
is
standards high.
That is high indeed.
Well, I give it 3.75 crowns.
Oh, spoil sport. Get out of here with your low crown rating.
That's
I know, I'm just kidding. It is a good one.
It was really cute. I enjoyed it. Okay, so let's talk about we're going to talk about the Marrying Father Christmas, the sequel to last year's Engaging Father Christmas, and Finding Father Christmas is third in the trilogy of Father Christmas films. And it stars all of our returning cast with Niall Mater, Aaron Kreekow, Wendy Malick, and the whole returning cast for this. And we were pretty tough on this in our preview because we did not like the last one. I really didn't like the last one. And so it was interesting. You know, I always try to go on things with as much of an open mind as I can. But Amber, what was your overall feeling about this film?
Okay, so for the most of the part of this movie, I was like, it's fine. Mm-hmm. I was enjoying it more than I had the previous iteration. I didn't feel like the conflicts were as convoluted. I know we'll disagree on this, but I felt like it was reasonable, and I felt like most of the people's responses made somewhat sense, as opposed to the last time when they were just like insane people keeping secrets for no reason. But this time, I thought everyone pretty much made sense. And then all of a sudden, best wedding of all time with the world's most perfect vows. I was legitimately crying because it was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Which it
elevated it.
It elevated it.
Cool. Good. And Lisa, what did you think? I don't think you watched the series, so what did you think of this one?
But I did read that at the time that the first 2 were like the highest watched movies on Hallmark of all time at that time, and that they're based on books. So I was like, okay. And then this one was on the Mystery Channel, which I don't have. So thanks for the assist on letting me watch that today. But I was like, all right, let's go. Let's mystery it up. I'm the Lifetime girl. Let's do this. I can't wait for all of the scandal. And so I go in, I'm trusting no one. I am trusting no one. And I am waiting in the wedding for Joseph or her uncle to do something. And I was like, oh, but then, so what was the mystery?
Well, yeah. So in this Christmas season,
Christmas ones are typically more movie than mystery.
Yeah, it kind of transitions to Seasons of Miracles. That's the theme.
But I do feel like it is mystery based though, because if she was trying to find out about her background and like that, there were all these conflicts that, like, she's getting stuff sent to her. Like, there is a level of mystery to it. Yeah. But maybe I was a little too distrustful of everyone.
Everyone. I can see that.
What's up with Margaret? What's her deal? What's going on over here with Dad? I was like, what's this? Like, I trusted no one.
That's what the Mulder and Scully would tell you to do.
So for me, I did like it significantly better than the last one, for sure. The last one was so convoluted and so ridiculous, and it kind of irritated me in this one that they kept saying, like, look how warmly I was accepted. And I'm like, literally, they refused to recognize you as part of their family, and they wanted you to break up with Ian, which you did, and they said that they were proud of you for doing so. They were completely selfish in the last one. They did not welcome you warmly in any way, in my opinion. So that was irritating to me. But there were cute moments. I liked them dancing a lot. And the wedding, I completely agree with you, was really well done. Very well executed. And weddings, sometimes they're not my favorite horror movies. So I did think they did a great job with that. So there you go. But I found all the stuff with the uncle to be extremely boring. I did not care about that at all. Like, I wanted them to talk about their relationship. Like, she's working in this office in Boston at the beginning of the movie, and is she closing down that office? Like, is she starting a new branch there? What's she going to be doing with herself? Is she happy about that? Is she planning on starting a family? Like, what's their relationship like? Is she sacrificing all this, like, for him? And how does she feel about that? Like, all that stuff is a million times more interesting than some mysterious uncle that I just was like, I don't know. I was not interested in that at all.
Well, I thought the uncle was up to something, so that was the only reason why they still had me roped into that, because I was like, what did you do? what did you do? But the thing about it, and I agree with you, as a relationship teacher, like someone who teaches and studies relationships, I was like, the only thing I got out of Ian was that he didn't know what to do for his vows, and I agree, he came out solid at the end. They both did. Those are, those can be really cheesy, and I was impressed. But he didn't like the uncle, and he didn't know what to do for his vows. But on top of them not really talking about their relationship, what was Margaret's deal? Maybe you can give me some background, but she's like, oh, we can just change the venue. This isn't your wedding, and it's a week away. And then the lead character, what's her name again? I'm sorry.
Miranda.
Thank you. It's just like, she's like drinking tea, like, I don't know. And I was like, say no. We are sticking with our venue, and here's why. And I just wanted to be like, can you please communicate? And then also, I feel like weddings are a time where communication happens that can be really problematic. Like, it's not your wedding. If they want to have a wedding with 10 people there, which is what ended up seemed like happened, then let them get married that way. And I was like, I can't even imagine, and I'm sure it happens all the time, stepping in a week before someone's wedding and being like, you should do this. And I already called the tent people and got to call my tent people back. Who has tent people on their phone that fast?
Well, especially when it's not even her daughter, first of all. And second of all, literally in the last movie, she was glad and proud of her for breaking up with Ian because she didn't want to have the fact that she existed exposed to the world. So, it's a pretty big leap to go from that to this, where they're so close and they're so like, and I was just kind of like, because it's not like they've been there together to heal their relationship and to become close. She's been in Boston.
We don't know what they did in the year between, Rachel.
She's been in Boston.
Shouldn't they tell us, though?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this real quick. I was actually super proud of Miranda. I was actually super proud of Miranda for telling freaking Ian about her uncle, because if this were movies 1 or 2, she wouldn't have told anyone about her mysterious secret uncle until 90% of the way through the movie.
Yeah, that's true. But them being suspect of him made no sense because he's making no demands on them in any way. So, like, what is his motivation for making this all up and lying? Like,
well, I think what you're missing here is the Peter Whitcomb of it all, because for us it's just like, oh, her dad, but like Peter Whitcomb is like friggin' Jimmy Stewart. Like, that's who Peter Whitcomb's supposed to be. Like,
they act like he's like a Kennedy or something, which is so ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
Like, he's like in this alternate universe, her dad is like, was that his name?
But he wouldn't even be related to Peter Whitcomb.
I know, but like
to her mother. Why
they're so suspect, people being like,
he's trying to get in on the money or something.
Trying to get in on the money, or trying to get in on the family, trying to get some sort of scoop, trying to do something nefarious. Like, this is like legitimately in this universe, like the fanciest, most important actor with the most perfect reputation in the history of the world, until we find out that he had a secret daughter.
Yeah, which is so ridiculous because he like runs a community theater. Like, I'm pretty sure the Hale family here in Utah that had the legacy of these 2 theaters, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't even be as big as, like, it's so ridiculous, but whatever.
Rachel, he's not just a stage actor. He was a film actor too. You're forgetting that. Like you're putting him into like a weird regular Hallmark thing. Like her dead father is supposed to be this like big freaking deal.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any actor from the past, from that era, that's dead, and her mother is dead, that people would care that going to pretend to be the long lost daughter's uncle, so that like it's ridiculous. Like I just can't. But anyway, let's just move on.
I actually have a thought about the uncle, like, because part of me was I was roped into what I assumed was a mystery of some sort. Is that why would he show up when he did? If he knows, as soon as he finds out she's getting married, why he wouldn't step back and not even get involved at all? Why are you going to walk into someone's life right before they get married?
Yeah.
That's why I was like, he for sure is up to something. And then secret sends photos to her of her mom. Like, that's sort of an emotional, private thing to like bring up right before someone gets married. Like, marriage is one of the biggest moments of people's like the transition, or having the stress of putting on this huge event, especially when you have Margaret who's like, let's change the venue. I just, people just,
well, and it might have been nice to have
don't step in on people's moments like that, because it is too much. It's too much.
And it might have been nice to have one conversation between Ian and Miranda about the fact that maybe her parents and all of the mess was making her a little insecure about getting married, or a little worried, or something about that. Like, that would have been interesting. It would have been more interesting than, is he really my uncle? Like, that was just so boring to me. But but anyway, so you had Wendy Malick's character and this guy Tommy, who is an old friend and he's in town for the wedding, right? Or just happens to be in town. I can't remember.
He's just in town, and she invited him to the wedding because that's what she do.
Yeah.
That's what Margaret do.
And I thought this was cute. I think I still wish that this series kind of allowed Wendy Malick to be a little more catty and a little bit more funny, because I think that's her wheelhouse and her strength. Mm-hmm. But it was cute. I enjoyed it.
What ended up happening? Oh, they held hands at the wedding. Okay.
Yeah, they held hands at the wedding.
And everyone was like, dang it, that is such a scandal. Just kidding.
Yeah, nobody's ever, is he in it for our money or whatever? Like, it's all the uncle that they're concerned about. But anyway, it was cute. And I did like the dance between Ian and Miranda to, I think, Jingle Bells, or Deck the Halls or something like that. It was cute.
My thought was like, you decided 2 days before the wedding, you're like, oh yeah, we don't have I was like, does anyone, maybe it's just because I teach communication, but I was like, does anyone talk to each other? Because there's one point where she's walking in town and he pulls up, he's like, oh, you're back. And I was like, you don't know she's back from her dress fitting? She was in Boston for that, if I remember correctly. There wasn't like a text message like, I'm on my way home, honey. It was just like, oh, hey, you.
Well, and that,
hi, are you my fiance? Hi. I was like, does no one talk to each other? That was the most frustrating part. I was like, does anyone talk to anyone?
Well, and that dress fitting was so frustrating because they were just so like finagling the camera and like the shots and stuff so that they wouldn't show her in the dress. They're like, oh, you look so beautiful. You look so beautiful. And it was like, we've all seen the advertising like a million times. We know what the dress looks like. Like, just show us the dress. Like, obviously they were saving it for this big reveal, but I was just kind of like, this is ridiculous.
I actually like that. I was like, oh, good. We're not supposed to see the dress. But then I was like right before the wedding, they're like, he's standing up there talking to himself. Everyone's like mingling. He's at like the altar, wherever they're at. Everyone's like talking to each other, and he's like reciting his vows. Like, no one even realized he's there. And I was like, is it time to start? And they go in. I'm like, is she even dressed? She's like sitting on the bed and like
her robe.
And I was like, you're about to get married. And I was like, maybe this is the scandal. I was like, maybe she doesn't actually marry family. Was it Father
Ian.
Christmas.
Ian.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't even gonna happen. And then the big reveal is actually that she walks down the aisle. She asks Margaret to walk down the aisle. So then we don't even have like a real big moment with the dress. So I thought it was like a neat move that they didn't show it to us, but then I don't think they gave it its due in that particular scene.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But I did love, I loved Niall Mater, his like rage wood chopping. I was a big fan of that.
How many scenes do they need of him chopping wood?
Doesn't
like
he have anything to do
85%
for
of what
the
he did.
wedding? Like, isn't there a wedding coming up? Is there nothing else you can do? Are you building a house in which the wedding is going to take place? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
That was actually the plot of the last one. I'm not gonna lie. They were fixing the house.
He is just very frustrated about these vows, which I can understand. And like, it did pay off and it worked. But there was a certain point where I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with traditional vows. Like,
yeah.
just go for the traditional vows if it's causing this much anxiety and this much stress. But anyway, it worked. And it was a pretty cute scene. It was kind of a repeat of the last movie with them being Santa and Mrs. Claus, but it was cute. It was fine. So yeah, they have, let's see here. And I do think, can we agree that Ian is the best character in the series? He's like the one that's grown the most. He's the most interesting, I feel like, and the most relatable. No?
I mean, I don't really think I love anybody.
Yeah.
But like, he was mostly the most reasonable. I liked him the best when he was being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I really did. But
so this is just a funny nitpick, but it was a super cute scene when she's making the cookies with the little girl. Super cute.
Any scene where Erin Krakow gets to interact with a child is the best scene that she's going to do. She is so great with kids.
Agreed. But it was just, I did kind of laugh that I've never seen anybody like have sugar cookies and then put the sprinkles on and then put them in the oven. That's a new one for me. So I was like, wow, it's creative cookie baking here.
Or she's like, okay, we'll make cookies, but let's make it fast.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, we'll just roll out the stuff from the refrigerator at the grocery store. We'll throw some sprinkles on top. Done.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite character, I think, was her sister-in-law or whoever the mother of that child is.
Her sister. Her half sister
something. Yeah, okay. But she was like, you need to just tell Margaret straight. You got, because Margaret's always direct, so you got to be direct with Margaret. And then when she decides to have that direct conversation, she's like, I'm about to go. I need to go over here and get some tape. And I was like, girl knows how to get out of a situation fast. She was like, here it comes. I don't want to be a part of it. And I think that was one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, Ellie's hilarious.
She was great.
So then we get the wedding, like we said, there's the dress reveal, and we get the vows, and they were really sweet. And I guess do you think this is the last movie that they're going to do? You think?
I hope so, because any other one, I'm serious, any other one is going to be not as good, and they should just go out on a high note, which was the wedding. Boom.
With the vows for sure.
With the vows. I don't want anything else.
Agreed. I do agree. Yeah, it's true. And so they say their vows. I wish I had written them down, but they were really good.
No, that would be too long, Rachel. The only thing that was he said that she made him fearless with love. And I was like, amazing. Yeah. It was good.
Which was, I think, his mom, said that, right?
Margaret.
Or was it Margaret? Okay. Makes you fearless with love. Yeah. So that was really nice. And then they end with them in the carriage with the just married on the back. And that's super cute.
I did almost die laughing when the kid was like, oh yeah, that's the sign that we made. Like it was some big payoff. I was so funny.
Okay, yeah. I take it back. That kid was my favorite part of the movie. He was so jazzed about being in this wedding, but he was super nervous, and they had to chit chat about how they're gonna handle the whole ring thing. And then he's like, "Oh my god, That's my sign. What?
So funny. And then also the flower girl, who was the world's most useless flower girl, threw not one petal.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe they didn't give her enough lessons.
I just like, it was a failure.
Do you need a flower girl when your aisle is 3 feet long?
Well, no, but if you are going to have one, at least have her throw a petal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, best flower girl in the history of all flower girls, Mary Kate from It Takes Two, when she places each petal individually. True?
Yes.
You
Or
haven't seen it, Rachel?
No, I haven't
No,
seen it.
that's great.
Rachel, add It Takes Two to your homework. It's amazing. Classic Gutenberg. Here's Sally. It's so good.
So how many crowns do you give this, Amber?
Oh, I ended up giving it 4 crowns. And that's because the wedding was like 6 crowns. And then the rest of it was like 2. But the wedding was so good, it bumped it up.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
Alysa, what about you?
The wedding was so good, Rachel.
That is fair. It's valid.
Except
Whatever
for
your
the flower
criteria.
girl. Except for the flower girl.
Well, I mean, like, it was fine. But, like, she was like, what if I'm not good at it? And then I was like, spoiler alert, you weren't good at it.
You didn't do anything. Oh,
You're not a bridesmaid, tiny girl. Throw some flowers.
Yeah. So, Alysa, what do you give it?
yes. Okay, I don't feel like I can go any higher than a 2.5 as a relational communication scholar because people need to talk to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
But those vows were good. So I would have probably given it a 2, but the vows jump it up a half. And actually, I'll say 2.6 because that kid going, that's my sign. 2.6.
2.6.
Well, I give it a 2.5, which was a lot higher than I thought I would give it.
Yeah.
So, because I gave it a coal in the preview.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone is as shocked as I am that I gave it a 4. Because for the most, like, I'm serious, for the most part of that movie, I was like, welcome to the 2s, buddy. But then the wedding was so good. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say I think it was the best wedding in the history of Hallmark Channel.
But the thing it was missing was a cookie crawl.
Fair.
I mean, like, okay, just to make it so it's not as high as Christmas Joy, 3.9.
Thank you.
One more movie to talk about. This was The Road to Christmas. And we didn't really know what to expect that much in this movie, aside from the fact we love Jesse Schramm.
And I love Chad Michael Murray because
Yes.
I was going to say, I would call it The Road to Chad Michael Murray.
It is the road to One Tree Hill.
Yes, exactly.
But we didn't know the writer because it's a brand new writer. And I think you could totally tell it had a little bit of a freshness to it for a new writer. But we didn't know going into it about him. And a director we didn't know. So all those reasons we weren't really sure whether it would be.
And we do have to mention that Sunday was Alvin Sanders Day on the Hallmark Channel networks because he was in Marrying Father Christmas, and then he also hopped down the road on the road to Christmas.
Yeah.
Guy was killing it.
Yeah, he really was. He was the tree lot owner. Yeah.
And I saw that. I was like, oh, hey, I remember you.
And I love him.
Yeah, he's really cute. So Lisa, what was your overall thoughts about this one?
I really enjoyed it. There was no questioning about cookie crawls. I get what a Christmas tree farm is. I understand what a white elephant party is. But
even though I'm not quite sure that her family understands what a white elephant party is, but we'll get to that.
We're going to talk about that.
That's fair. So my main thoughts were this. Chad Michael Murray, they called it the Three Wise Men. Like that should have been the title, in my opinion. You have the 3 brothers, the 3 wise men. There was a puppy party and a basket of kitties, and sold.
Yeah. I really loved this movie. I thought it was great. Like it had, to me, it was similar to how I felt about Miss Christmas. Like I felt like it last year. I felt like it made so many refreshing choices. I thought it had such a great heart to it. I thought it had so many characters that I liked. I thought the writing was really spot on. I mean, there's silly stuff we'll talk about, but I really liked it. It's going to have a really high score. So Amber, what did you think overall?
Overall, it was incredible. It was great. Chad Michael Murray is the greatest, and I'm loving that he's in more movies. Being more Chad Michael Murray, CMM.
That's what I had in my notes. Is I was just like, oh, CMM in the house is what my notes say.
Christmas Party, and Jessie Schramm is the assistant director, I guess, or something like that of this
I think
show.
she's the producer, executive producer, or the whatever.
Something like that, yeah. And of the show, and she's like big on trying to modernize it, make it new, and her big idea is to have this be a live broadcast. So this is like QVC live, everybody's watching kind of thing. And so that's the big idea. And this is like some weird alternate universe of Hallmark where not only is everybody glad to be working over Christmas, but they're like cheering. This is a work family, they even say, which is like very rare for Hallmark. Like I kept feeling like there's another version of this story with maybe that assistant who was kind of funny, I thought, at the very beginning, where like there's another Hallmark movie about her and how she's really resentful about the fact she has to
I'd watch
she like falls in love with the cameraman while they're ice skating.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'd watch that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that was really different. And so Terrell Rothery plays this lady, Julia Wise, and she's supposed to be kind of a Martha Stewart kind of type, but she was pretty warm and nice. She really wasn't a Scrooge character at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think they were trying to make her be one either.
No. And but that was it was a little jarring. And I have to say, I thought that it was so funny. Jessie Schramm's character calls Maggie, is her name. Maggie calls her family, and her mom and dad have the oldest phone in the history of phone existence. Like, it was so hilarious. Because they were both like trying to listen in on this like old rotary phone. Like, what?
Was it like Zach Morris's phone from Saved by the Bell? It's like this giant.
No, that phone wishes it was Zach Morris.
It's so funny. I'm like, this doesn't even have a speakerphone. Like, we're going back a long.
Operator.
Oh, this is Tommy Edison calling.
Hey, can you connect me?
That's so funny. I was laughing, and whenever that phone would show up, I'm like, but and so she is going to have to miss this white elephant thing with her family, she thinks, at least. And yeah, so my understanding of the world and how things work is that white elephant party is like gag gifts. It's like supposed to be funny. So you give like weird, funny things. That's
like an iPad. iPads are hilarious.
Yeah. Like, and then a Yankee swap, in my experience, is like really good. Like, you try to give like a pretty good gift, and so that like there's more of a inclination to trade with a Yankee swap because people are opening like really good stuff. And you're like, ooh, I want that. So then it's a Yankee swap. So I felt like either I don't understand what a white elephant party is, or
they don't.
They don't. What about you, Amber?
So I feel like I've never done a Yankee swap in the history of the universe, and that sounds racist. But we have played White Elephant in my day, and they are gag gifts. But I think something that you need to take into account is like if there is a monetary limit. Like, I have definitely played White Elephant where they were nicer presents, where we're like, okay, and you have to bring something that's between $10 and $20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I liked my favorite part about the White Elephant, which I'm not really sure anymore. And again, I have not participated in the Yankee swap. And so Amber, the count of yours is snow day, no cakewalk, and no Yankee swap. We really need to.
It's a rough life there, Amber.
We need to make.
I just have a life where everyone goes to work, does their jobs, and buys their own presents.
But I loved how there was like an iPad in there. There's all sorts of stuff. But like before they started, and then like there's these extra people there. The mom's like, well, this gift is like a manicure set. I was like, that is not the same.
Yeah, which makes sense for a Yankee swap, because then you want to trade to get the better gift.
Yeah. I was like,
do you know what was insane? The mom was like, I got an Apple Watch. The dad was like, I got an iPad. And everyone was like, we'll let you keep those.
Yeah, that's out of control.
Nope. You would not have been keeping that. The girl was like, I got a scooter. And I was like, girl, you're going to want that iPad. Telling you that now.
So she meets the Chad Michael Murray character, and she doesn't realize that he is Julia's son, which is kind of funny because literally right behind her, Julia has a picture of her 3 sons right there. You think of all the times that she's been in that office, she's never seen a picture of her son, but who cares?
You're going to remember a Chad Michael Murray, let's be real.
Yeah. And they had this like somewhat flirtatious confrontation or whatever in the waiting room where he was reading his mom's cookbook. And and so she's like kind of embarrassed or whatever. But Julia has hired her son to film these little like segments, I guess, that will go along with this live broadcast. And he wants to be more traditional. And they didn't really spend all that much time on sort of their warring views on Christmas. Like once she was on board with the trip, it was kind of that whole element wasn't really done.
Also, I do just want to say, how boring and lame would her special have been if it was just an hour of her cooking a goose?
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, that's very true. And so,
like, I understand why the network was like, we should try something else.
Yeah, that's true. And so, but it's kind of funny because she says later that I wanted to have my son like with me for Christmas, and so I brought him in on this project. And like, you literally brought him in on a project where he's going to be on the road the entire time and away from you. Like, that's probably not the best plan.
Well, they didn't know that at the time. They were just talking about pre-recorded segments. They didn't have the road trip idea until later, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It was funny, though, I thought. And so, anyway, they get on the road, and she decides that she is she's going to also get her she decides that she's also going to get Julia's 2 other adopted sons to come, and like she's going to try to get them to come surprise Julia as a nice thing because Julia has been alone and is sort of sad for Christmas. And so that's kind of becomes the main plot of the movie, is them going on the road, various stops to do these little videos, but also to collect these brothers. So, which I really enjoyed. And I'm a big advocate, I guess, for foster care and adoption. I really believe that it's such an unselfish thing, or at least it certainly can be. And how did you feel they kind of handled that dynamic of the Chad Michael Murray, David, right? He was David.
Mm-hmm. No, he was Danny.
Danny, how did you feel they handled Danny and his brothers and that whole kind of dynamic, Alysa?
I think sibling relationships are really interesting. It's one of the longest relationships we have in life. And it's one that changes the most. And so I think that we didn't really get the whole pie, the piece, we were getting pieces of the pie as we were going along to really understand like why they weren't interacting with each other. And it kind of came together. I wish there would have been a little bit more as they were going along. But I think that there is, and I wish they would have done a little bit more, I think, because I imagine, I'm not adopted, not part of foster care. I can imagine that there is a level of connection or wanting for connection or difficulties with connection that I think would have been important to sort of understand here. But I think that the story bringing it together, and I don't know if you want to talk about that yet, but
go for it.
Yeah. So the idea that the father had passed away, and that the mom didn't really cope with it well and threw herself into her work. And her son Danny, played by Chad Michael Murray, was in that business and asked that he produce her show or work with her. And so it became sort of like a Danny and mom versus Derek and David. And I think that kept the family separated. And so I think that it brings up issues of like favoritism. I think it really brings up issues of talking about grief and I really liked the main character's name, the lady Maggie, thank you. When her mom, that we discover in some of the video that Danny takes, is the mom talking to his brother Derek, and she's, he's saying like, we really don't spend time on Christmas and things like that, and she goes, it's really great to be together, but it goes both ways. And so sometimes I think we assume that our parents or mom or our caregivers are the one who are going to do everything, and that even when we're adult children that we don't have to do much, but there's a lot they could have done to check in on their mom going through and not taking just like an immediate offense to her, because losing your partner in life is one of the hardest things to go through. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of layers. And I also was like, hey, not only do we got some romance on this road to Christmas, but we got siblings. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Hallmark? What?
Well,
So it was really exciting. And then I get kind of serious as like the communication scholar that's like, okay, well, there's things that we need to talk about. But I am excited that they did include it. And I think that there were a lot of positive outcomes in the end. I just wish that there would have been a little bit more pieces of the pie of like why they were so apart. And they kept saying traditional Christmas. Well, what they meant to say was the Christmas as an entire family. I don't think it was actually tradition in the sense of what we think of with tradition. I think it was their tradition, which was with their dad, and their dad isn't here, and no one has coped with that well.
Yeah.
And in the end, they're all together and they play the ukulele. So
what I really appreciated is that I feel like most Christmas movies, not just Hallmark, Christmas movies in general, like there's lots of family shenanigans, family drama, whatever, like something like The Family Stone that's very like over the top and people fighting and whatever. And those are fine. I don't hate them. But I felt like this felt more real to me as far as like my family. There's 6 of us in my family, and we all are 6 of us kids.
Yeah.
And we're all really different. Like each one of us couldn't be more different. And it's probably honestly for the best that we all kind of live like thousands of miles apart from each other. But we all love each other and we're supportive of each other, but we are really, really different. And I think like even this Christmas, there's probably going to be kind of little hubs of gathering. Partly that's just the differences where we all live, but also maybe even a little bit of our personalities too. I don't know. Like, it's just, I related to the fact that they still loved each other and they still like, were so excited to see each other and they still loved each other, but it was complicated and more than you typically see in the average Christmas movie. And I thought that was really good and definitely something I could relate to. I've been to enough sort of family gatherings that there's that tension there, but you still love each other, but we're just really different. And so it's just,
and also they lived in different places, which is similar. Like I live in Michigan, my other brother lives in California, and then my other brother lives in Florida. So we're all in different places and we can't always get together for holidays. And so one of the things is that when you're at a distance though, you don't have the opportunity for those awkward family Thanksgivings. And I think what we see in this movie is that there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of underlying issues that could be worked out if they just were able to be together to talk about those things. But communication's hard. And so here I am again. If only people would just communicate, but we communicate in different ways. Like Danny's character, he would send food to his brother Derek just to be sure. He's like, you're my little brother, I'm gonna take care of you, you know, send him peanut butter or whatever he might need. And like, so yeah, like you said, they love each other.
So Danny's love language was gifts?
Yes.
I mean, at least it's giving language.
Brilliant point.
Not as receiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Amber, can you your family is all very close, both in distance and it seems like in personality. Could you really kind of relate to what was going on here?
Honestly, not really. I was like, oh, classic Hallmark movie where people are whatever. And I'm like, my sisters and I are the best friends in the whole universe.
Pretty loud and opinionated, but as a whole, we don't really have any conflict. I'm just saying that we're just really different. And so like having that really close sort of connection is somewhat challenging. We love each other. And that's what I related, I guess, with this movie is
around with 6 copies of myself. So we that's probably why we don't fight, is because we're like, agreed.
Like, what commercial is that? Is it like a credit card commercial where they call and it's like they're talking to themselves? That's you.
But I will tell you one thing. We all like the same jokes, so it's really funny when we're together.
It's just nothing but laughter.
It is. Like, you know in movies how they're always like in a road trip and the family's like, oh, this is the worst, and the kids are so obnoxious and everyone's fighting. We were on road trips and we were like, best day ever, we're all best friends.
See, in my family, I feel like the safe spot is like, just talk about The Simpsons. Like, we all like The Simpsons. We all think it's hilarious. Yeah. And so, like, if things, let's just, that reminds me of because The Simpsons have talked about everything under the sun. So there's always a Simpsons episode to relate to whatever is happening, to anything that's going on. The show's been on so long. And so, like, you can also be like, that reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons. Very handy. So anyway, but okay, so the first stop that they have on their trip, and I loved the little map transitioning thing.
Yes, that was cute.
The travel by map was adorable.
It was so good.
That, like, traveling by map is a fun way. The graphics were cute.
It was so
I was
cute.
like, this is the cute version of Indiana Jones, because that's what they do for the fights. But I was like, this is really cute though. They're like, oh, snow, and here's a tree, and
it reminded me of this game called Overcooked. I don't know if you've ever played it, but it looks almost exactly like the map in it, and I enjoyed that. Just like mentally in myself, I was like, yeah.
So then they had scheduled this whole stop with this tree farm. But, like, I kind of wondered, did they talk about anything? Because they seemed completely unaware of what was happening when they got there. And so the star, the celebrity that they were going to have come gets sick. And so she's out of there. And then so they decide that they're just going to have the tree farm owner, whatever, is going to do a little spiel on how to pick out a correct tree. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I was thinking, I bet the Balsam Hill people are very upset about this.
No, because they were like, oh, all of Miss Wise's office is decorated in Balsam Hill garlands.
I hear people are being instructed on how to pick out a tree. I mean, it's very... But no, anyway, and so he like gets this chainsaw and he's cutting down the tree, and they're like, oh, we're like on this road trip, like we don't need the tree, and he's like, look at the sign. I just thought it was so funny. It said, once you cut, it's your tree.
But they didn't cut. He cut it. I wanted to be like, it's your tree, buddy. It says, once you cut. I didn't cut anything. I would be the person who's like, that's not what it says.
That sign to me, I
would be the person who was like, okay, here's my money, and you can resell this tree to somebody else. I'm not taking it.
Yeah, it's not been on top of my Chevy Cruze. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, I did bring the Mini Cooper, so I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. But I thought the dialogue was pretty well done between dialogue in general was pretty well done. And Zach Hug is the name of the writer. And I thought I was very impressed. I thought he did a really good job. And I thought that they had a pretty good chemistry between Chad Michael Murray and Jesse Schramm. Agreed? We all agreed?
Agreed.
Okay.
How do you have bad chemistry with Chad Michael Murray?
Yeah, right. And so then we meet Derek, the first brother that we meet, played by Cardi Wong. And oh my gosh, he was great. First thing's best hair, best smile. And I was like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he was cute.
He was so cute. I really enjoyed him. And he was a favorite of yours, right, Amber?
Obviously. I didn't say that to you, but obviously. We didn't discuss this. I didn't tweet about this, but yeah. I want hashtag a sequel for Derek. Like, he was the best.
Yeah, would it be like really a sequel to a Road to Christmas sequel, The Wisest Man?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm spitballing. What can I say?
But he's like super mad at his mom because he was playing the ukulele and it was like,
I don't think he's mad at his mom. He was mad at Danny a little bit.
Oh, was it Danny? Okay. But anyway, and I guess because it got broadcast.
Like, I'm going to sing this awesome song on the show. And Danny was like, no, bro. You can't be involved. This is a mistake.
And so they're debating and whatever. And I did like when he says, I just did it instead of arguing on how to do it. I was like,
yeah.
That was pretty funny. I was like, yeah, you're in a contest. And I loved the whole time when they thought that they were like kicking butt and then everyone else kicked their butt. And
it was so cute. Yeah, it was so cute too, the way that he immediately saw that Chad McMurray was into Jesse Schramm's character. And he's like, you're wearing cologne? Hello? Like, that was really cute.
So really it goes to show that we know our family really well. Like, like even if they have some distance, there's ways that we behave and they pick up on it right away. Like, nice try, buddy. You're into her.
Yeah. And I thought this relay, snowman building relay, that looked so much fun. Like, a lot of times these winter activities just look miserable to me because I'm not a huge fan of
Rachel hates everything.
She tried to call in snow day to her first day.
Yeah, I like being warm, cuddly. I like being
cozies.
Yeah, and so, but this looked legitimately fun to me. I thought it was a clever. I've never seen a snowman building relay. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. I was like, this is cute. Like, I didn't have as many questions like I did about the cookie crawl, but I was like, this seems like something they would do. In Colorado, right? Is that where they were?
Yeah, they were in Boulder.
Yeah.
I was like, this seems like something they would do.
Yeah, it was really cute. I liked it. And so then the next stop is at her family's house, and there's this white elephant thing, and I didn't really understand. They get there and they leave her sleeping in the car all night long. In the morning, she's there. Like, I mean, I know that it's like a little bit nervous, to wake people up in the car or whatever when they're sleeping, but like, come on. Like, it would be what?
And I was like, where did they come from? Had they met the parents yet? They like came from behind the car. It was like, where were you guys just walking around?
like, I mean, you'd have to be on some serious Ambien or something to like sleep through the night in the car when you're at your parents' house. Like, that was so funny to me. I just loved it.
I feel like her parents, the car stops is when you wake up, right? Yeah. Like,
Well, and her parents wouldn't like come out and be like, why don't you come inside? That was really funny. But anyway, so that's when we have the whole white elephant thing, and they agree to film it for the show as one of the segments. And the sister was very eager to be on this show.
The sister was awesome.
Can I have time to brush my hair? Why? Your hair looks perfect, camera ready.
It's like mid-sentence. She's saying, would you guys? Yes, definitely. That was really funny. And I really liked when Chad McAvoy was like, Scout's honor. Like, yes, that was hot. So yeah, we already talked about the white elephant gift. It was a Yankee swap at best, but I did love the like moment where they like accidentally their hands touch. That's one of my favorite Hallmark tropes. I love when there's like an accidental linger longer. Like it was really good.
Yeah. Can we talk about her family though?
Yeah, her family.
What about her family?
Seems like they get along great, right? Like they seem to be.
They're like Amber's family.
Yeah, but then why doesn't she want to be there? Every year she's like, goodbye. Like, I still think there is something a little strange. Like, I get that when they didn't have a lot of money and it was something really meaningful to her in college, but kind of like you were talking about before, why are people so excited to work on Christmas? I worked on Christmas because I worked at a movie theater and it was the worst.
Yeah.
And like you have to plan around, you know, everything for Thanksgiving. I mean, every holiday, me and my brothers were gone because we all worked at the same movie theater. And for someone who has such a great, like seems to have such a love for their family, seems to have a lot of interest in not being around them during perhaps one of the most important family holidays. Like that, I still thought was a little strange. Like she made this great moment for, you know, their family. And it's like, the parents are like, shit's fine. I'm like, so when do you get your time with your family though? Like that's, and I am a very big believer in, if you don't have to have Christmas on Christmas Day, if that doesn't work for your family, right? But it did feel a little strange that she didn't have much to do with her family. So,
well, yeah, and they seem to imply that was because of finances, but this is a family that's giving away iPads and Apple Watches as part of their Yankee swaps. So what?
You know what? This is my new plan. The mom and dad both knew what was in those things and they're their actual real presents. And the rest of the family knows, like, you don't steal from mom and dad.
They got the family norms already situated. Like,
yeah, like that's my thing. And then like Derek was tempted to go for it, and then everyone was like,
Don't do
it.
Your little jingle bells are perfect right there. Don't do it.
So then we move on to brother number 3, to David, who runs a animal shelter. Yes, and he was kind of like, yeah, I am the most attractive one. So these are very confident brothers for sure, and they were just so cute. I loved all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And we get to meet.
I think it is funny though, and very telling and good writing, that whenever they are introduced as like one of the things, they're like second adopted, oldest, instead of, and like third adopted, youngest. So like, because those are the questions people would ask their whole lives. So they're just ingrained to introduce themselves that way.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well written.
Yeah, that was cute. Agreed. And so he has this co-owner of the dog shelter, Bradley, who is a theater major, who's going to help them with this video about caring for your dogs at Christmas. And did we think that maybe he might be his partner?
Did you just see my face when you said co-owner? I was like, was he? I was pretty sure that was his boyfriend.
They never said it, and I felt that it was conspicuously that they didn't use the P word. They didn't say his partner. Yeah. They were like, he owns this dog shelter he runs the dog shelter with him. They're partners in this dog shelter. They were like, no P word.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, they're totally dating. And then I moved on. I was like, that's why when you said, I was like, wait, what? No, they were clearly dating.
Yeah, I think it was very clear too. In fact, I had just I think subconsciously thought that I think I subconsciously added a line about him introducing him as his partner. Because I don't know. I just thought for sure he said that. And so it wasn't until we were talking earlier this afternoon, me and Amber, that I went back and watched that scene again, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
I said they didn't. And she didn't believe me.
Yeah.
And then she had to go back and fact check me. And I was like, girl, don't fact check me. I know my facts.
Well, that's how sure I was. I was positive that he said that. But then I was like, oh, he just says he owns the shelter with me. But I guess an implied gay relationship is better than not having it's a step in the right direction for people who want more representation in these movies. And this movie did actually have quite a bit of diversity for Hallmark, at least. So
can I say that even if it was an implied relationship, the fact that we all assumed that they were partners, I think is an excellent sign moving forward with representation too. Like, it never occurred to me that they were business partners. I was like, these people are dating. Yeah. And so, like, maybe we shouldn't assume either way, but in some ways it's like, in a way it doesn't matter, right? Like, it
has no bearing on the story.
It has no bearing on the story because most people, it's who they are.
Yeah, and most people it's like, oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. There you go.
Carry on, yeah.
Which is great. And then we did get the adorable doggies. They were so cute. Like, this shelter,
I wanted more of the puppy party.
This shelter is getting banked. Like, these are rescue dogs that are really looking good. And
I'm not a huge dog person, and I was still like, cute dogs. And then they brought me a basket of kittens, and I was like, forget it. Here I am. But how freaking David didn't understand the metaphor of the 3 little kittens, and like the 4th one was their mom. They were all together. How he didn't catch the kitten metaphor. I was like, what's wrong with you, David? You need different glasses.
Well, it's also like, how is he like, oh God, we have three kittens and a 4th kitten. I can't go anywhere. I can't. It's like
kittens are too much.
The world stops.
Yeah.
Speaking of kittens.
Well, and you do find out that Danny has been sending Derek like food packages, and really they really do love each other. Again, I appreciate that dynamic. They love each other, but that's just challenging. And so I thought that was a really cute moment. And then there was, I love a classic, it's almost as good as the romantic comedy movie Fall, where they like fall on each other. That's great. But like close second is the stumble into each other kind of thing, where it's like, oh, I just ran into you. And they kind of had a rom-com accidental bump into each other, then awkwardly look in each other's eyes moment. And I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, that's always awkward, where it's like, oh, catching you looking at me.
Yeah.
Ferguson's here.
So then they get on the train the next morning. They've tried to get David to come with them. He's still very hesitant because of his mom and their relationship. And so they get on the train though, but there was this lady on coming off the train. And I said, she's my spirit animal, because she was great.
She was so sweet.
She was great. She says,
I loved her.
She says, anytime it snows near Christmas, we should all just stay home and eat whatever we can find. I was like, yes, this lady understands.
Well, I don't understand. No, I was like, why is she enacting zombie protocols?
And we also say goodbye to Derek at that spot, because he's feeling kind of conflicted because he's had these traditions now. It's kind of like what we were talking about in our last episode, Alysa, that they've kind of established their own, like maybe a little urban tribe between Bradley, David, and Derek, of traditions that they do, like this dog walking thing or whatever, and stuff. And so he's feeling conflicted about, since David doesn't want to go, he loves his mother, but he's feeling conflicted about doing this. And so he stays behind with David, and I thought that was, he gives the salute, and I was like, bye, Derek.
I was like, Derek, don't leave. But that couple was
Derek, come back in the sequel.
Yeah.
The wisest man, I don't know. Okay, I'm still out.
We'll workshop the title.
So then they get to his they get to Julia, to the photo, to the shoot, whatever, and the power keeps going out. They keep having all these problems, and there was some pretty like fun scenes. They try to get generators and stuff like that. There was a really painful near kiss. I was like, no.
Is that when the mom walked in?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you're just doing something that didn't have to do with kissing. It's like being in high school all over again or something. I don't know. Oh, well, hi.
And I did think that the conflict of her being mad at him for the fact he was only scheduled to do this one show was kind of lame. I was like, eh. But luckily they didn't spend too much time on it.
Yeah. I was like, who cares? If you love each other, you'll find a way.
Yeah. But that's loved.
All they need is a little bit of communication.
Yeah, that's right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I really liked when she said, people tell me all the time how independent I am. And I really like that about myself. But I also like you. Like she still needs other people. And I don't know. I really related to that because I'm a very independent person. Mm-hmm. And I like that about myself. But I still need people in my life.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I actually thought that was something that I thought was sort of a theme with like Christmas Joy. Like she was very independent. She didn't want his help on the cookie crawl, driving back and forth and doing like work in the cookie crawl. What's her face and marrying Father Christmas still has their business back in Boston. So who knows what's happening there. But then she was also a very independent person, and it seemed like independent from her family too. And so I thought I saw that as sort of a theme across all of them. And that speaks to me because I'm independent. I'm not married. I got 2 cats that are, the natives are getting restless.
And I thought that was really good. Nice little writing there. Okay. Then we have problems. The computers are having problems, and they get to the moment of the shoot, and everything, even with the generators, everything has to kind of reboot, and so it's causing problems. The teleprompter isn't working, and Julia just like freezes. It's like, oh my gosh. And so, which is interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some people in media like that aren't good being live, you know, that's not a skill everyone has. So yeah. I bought it. I thought teleprompter did a good job with that. And but I thought it was so funny because they had a lot of Apple in this movie. Which isn't like a typical sponsor for Hallmark, but anyway, they had the Apple computer, and then this like loading thing looked like something from like a DOS 2000.
But Rachel, that was because it wasn't the computer that was doing that. It was, they were having a hard time connecting to their remote servers.
Was it? Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. Okay.
You're not as technically fancy as I am.
Yeah.
Don't fact check me, Rachel. My facts are always checked.
I'm not fact checking you.
It sounds legit.
Then we got the brothers showing up in this sleigh. They're like freezing. And it was really cute though. I enjoyed it. They were back and they're getting ready for this live reunion. And that's when we get a pretty great kiss, I thought, between Maggie and Daniel. I thought it was pretty good. She just went for it. I liked it.
Yeah.
So I was a fan. And the Julia is just like, whoa, okay. It was good.
Why you gotta do that when your mom's filming live?
Yeah. And a really nice reunion with the 3 brothers. That was I thought, and
that was really excited.
Sweet. And I did like at the door, knock on the door, and she's just kind of like, I'm still with this goose. And so like Maggie holds up this dry erase board, open door. But like the reunion was so sweet. I really enjoyed it, and you could tell that it meant a lot to her. And I don't know, I just thought they nailed it, that whole emotional dynamic.
Yeah. The nitpicky nitpicker in me was like, but they missed the money shot, because the money shot is her reaction to seeing the boys, not the boys coming through the door. And so they really messed that up.
That's a good point. But it was sort of like they didn't practice it. It was on the fly. She didn't actually know that those guys were going to
but they could have come in from a different door.
Yeah, why? It was like the longest hallway ever. It was like, excuse me, I have to go down 3 flights.
I mean, like, there was literally a back door right there.
Yeah. And they could have got her.
I'm not saying next time Hallmark wants to have an imaginary produced show that they should call me.
But maybe they should.
But
you did see her reaction, but yeah, maybe the first reaction.
No, we the audience saw the reaction, but we, the imaginary viewing audience of this live show, didn't.
Oh, I see. I get you. Okay. And then they kind of close off the movie with everybody having this big meal, and then this ukulele version of "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and that is my favorite. Like, I would say my favorite secular Christmas carol. My favorite religious carol is "What Child Is This?" My favorite, is "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." I love it, and so that was just made me even love this movie even more.
Yeah.
And I will say this about Jessie Schramm. Most of the time when people sing little solos in these Hallmark movies, I kind of want to stab myself in the ear. And it's like, not necessarily because they're bad, but it's like because they're trying so hard to be like super amazing at singing, and they're like secretly in their hearts they're like, and then maybe somebody from a record company will hear this and they'll make me, and I'll start like that goes through the back of their minds. You know it's true.
No.
And Jessie Schramm, I didn't feel like was like, I'm trying to impress the audience with my skills. She was like, I'm just gonna try to sing this as nice as possible. And she nailed it, and I appreciated it, and it didn't bother me at all, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. I agree. And we get a nice closing kiss from them, which I really thought was great.
Yeah.
And
plus, we got my main man Derek playing the uke.
Yes. So I loved this movie. I thought it was so great. I related to it. I thought it was funny and sweet and romantic. I liked all the actors. I thought they did a great job. I don't know. I had little funny things, that were like, what? Why are they doing that? But like nothing that distracted me or that irritated me or that was a major problem. And so I am going to give this a big 5. I loved it.
The big 5.
I think in the world of, because you kind of have to appreciate things for what they're trying to be. And I think for the world of Hallmark, this is just about as good as it gets. I just loved it. I thought it was great. And so I'm going to give it a big 5. Woo! So, Lisa, what would you give it?
I'm still on the cookie crawl.
Okay.
But this one had Chad Michael Murray on it. We could combine those two things. Like if they cookie crawled it across America to Vermont, it would have been perfect. So I gave Christmas Joy 4.6 because of the kid with the sign. I'm going to give this a 4.4. Whoa.
No. You didn't give, you gave, you're wrong.
Wrong movie. You're right.
Yeah, you gave Christmas Joy 4.5.
And then
Father Christmas a 2.6.
Right, 6. Thank you.
Yes.
So this will be a 4.4.
Good score. Very good.
Still, Cookie Crawl takes it.
So Amber, what do you give Road to Christmas?
I don't really feel like I need to justify my score to anyone because it's my own arbitrary score.
Yeah.
But I ended up giving it 4.3.
Good score. Like,
yes,
that is really, all 3 of us gave it over 4. That's epic.
Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah. I actually watched this Christmas Joy, Road to Christmas, and then Marrying Family Christmas, or Father Christmas, and so I was horribly disappointed. Because I was on the cookie crawl, then I was on like the building the snowman with the puppies and the kittens, and then I was like, where's the mystery? What did the uncle do? I still don't know. That's going to be the fourth movie. It's going to be like, we're going to have to do a crossover with Lifetime to make it like super mysterious and scandalous.
Maybe we'll have to bring you back to talk about, along with our Lifetime correspondent, Amy, when we talk about some of the Lifetime movies. But yeah, I really just thought it was great. So yay, that's awesome. Post on Twitter. So I said, so what do we all think of this weekend? And we got some rankings. So Casey and Caroline both had Marrying Father Christmas at 1, 2, Christmas Joy, and 3, The Road to Christmas. And so they were very happy about that. Nadia Alvarado Barrios ranked it Christmas Joy, and then Marrying Father Christmas, and then The Road to Christmas is theirs. And then Waiting in the Pumpkin Patch said 1, Road to Christmas, 2, Christmas Joy, and 3, Marrying Father Christmas, aka Find the Uncle.
Exactly.
That's right.
Watch out for him. Trust no one.
Our friend Mark over at Hallmark and Jess, he rated it 1, Road to Christmas, 2, Christmas Joy, and 3, Marrying Father Christmas. And he said, coming off of 2 happy ones hurt Marrying Father Christmas for me since it was more serious. All pretty solid though. And so there you go. That is some of our audience's ranking. So let us know what you thought of these and maybe how many crowns you would give them. Let us know in the comment section or on Twitter. Please make sure you're following us on all of our social media. And yeah, it's gonna be really fun. And Alysa, thanks so much for coming on again. This was a blast.
Fun. It was a lot of fun, and don't think I'm forgetting about the gingerbread contest we talked about.
Yeah, stay woke, you guys, because it's gonna get announced.
Yeah. So where can people find you and your podcast and everything like that?
Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits, it's on all your favorite podcatchers, including Spotify, and I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Best Forevers Pod, and I have a web page, bestforeverspod.com, and I am continuously running a campaign called Join Alysa on a Bench. You might see a bench behind me. You might be thinking that I've been sitting on that bench the whole time, but it's a bench behind a bench. I'm not sitting on this.
Benchception, I get it.
Yeah, it is benchception. Thank you. But I am doing a campaign to raise money to get buddy benches into schools, parks, campuses, and other places in which friendship and communication should be encouraged. Yeah. So you can check it out on my webpage.
So what
this
you
is my
should
first
do.
buddy bench. That's going out.
That's amazing. So what you should do, listen to our show for just total fluff and silliness, and then go and listen to Lisa's show when you actually want to become a better person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's high praise.
But Amber, where can people find you?
As always, I'm at Amber Brainwaves on Twitter, and that's it.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. And so check that out. I really appreciate you following that. And yeah, if you can put in your reviews on iTunes and on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And we'll be excited for next week. 4 movies. This is our first 4-movie weekend. And that should be really fun. So yeah, we'll talk to you all later. Merry Christmas.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.